Oh my, Audrey, that dress, isn't it a bit too extravagant for your sister's engagement party? My mother looked me up and down from the hem of my pure white wedding gown to my face, her expression dripping with amusement as she spoke. At that moment, I heard something snap inside my head. This was supposed to be my wedding. Next to me stood Noah, the man I loved, and my fiancé. And I was supposed to be the radiant bride on the most glorious day of my life. Yet hanging on the wall of the venue was a massive banner that read, "Congratulations, Ethan and Hazel." The white and pink roses we had carefully chosen were nowhere to be seen. Instead, the walls were covered in tacky lavender and gold decorations. The guests gathered were not celebrating me. They were there to celebrate my sister Hazel's engagement. I scanned the room, but none of my college friends were there. None of my coworkers were there either. The only faces I saw belonged to the people my mother, Grace, and Hazel knew. A cold, gripping sensation clenched my heart as the reality set in. "Mom, what are you saying? Today is supposed to be my wedding." My voice trembled. The scene before me felt like some cruel, tasteless joke, and my mind struggled to keep up. Noah supported my arm and demanded in a firm voice, "Grace, what on earth is going on here? Where is our wedding?" She shrugged as if she were enjoying a good play and pointed around the hall with the clipboard in her hand. "A wedding? Oh, right, that was planned too. But something far more important came up. As you can see, Hazel was proposed to by Ethan. What could bring a family more joy than this?" At her words, Hazel stepped forward triumphantly. On her finger glittered an enormous diamond ring, the likes of which I had never seen before. "I'm sorry, Audrey, but of course my happiness takes priority, doesn't it?" A freezing sensation spread through my entire body. My mother had promised to take care of all the preparations since I was so busy. A massive amount of money had been withdrawn from my personal credit card to cover the wedding expenses. All of it had been poured into this absurd charade. She had trampled on my trust and on the future Noah and I had built together. Grace smiled cruelly, twisting the knife in my despair. "Don't worry, Audrey. You're strong. And your business is doing well, isn't it? You can always have another wedding. But Hazel's happiness is only now. Come on, congratulate your sister. As the leading lady, of course." The leading lady. Her words smashed through the last door of my heart. Ah, yes, that's right. To these people, I had always been second place. My success was nothing more than a resource to be exploited. My happiness existed only as the backdrop to highlight my sister's. But that ends today. My hands were trembling as I took my smartphone out of my handbag. Then I slowly lifted my head and fixed my family with an icy stare. "You think you're the star? How amusing." My voice was eerily calm, carrying the quiet tension of a storm about to break. "Audrey, what are you—" Noah glanced at the smartphone in my hand, his voice tinged with confusion. In his eyes, I saw the same unwavering love he had always had for me, and a deep, simmering anger at the situation unfolding before us. He understood better than anyone how deeply my mother's cruel words had wounded me. "It's all right, Noah. I'll take care of this." I met his gaze and nodded quietly. His presence was the only anchor keeping my heart steady in this hellish place. We had met during graduate school, shared our dreams, and supported each other every step of the way. When I took the reckless leap to launch the biotech startup, Ethelred Therapeutics, based on my doctoral research, he was the one who kept telling me, "You can do this." This wedding was supposed to be the shining milestone of our long journey together. "Audrey, come over here. I want to introduce you to Hazel's friends." Grace's voice rang out again. It was the commanding tone of someone who had never once considered the possibility of being defied. When I looked around, I saw Noah's parents, my would-be in-laws, standing off to the side looking bewildered and out of place. They had been deceived as well. They too had been looking forward to this day, expecting to attend their son's wedding, and now they couldn't hide their confusion at the bizarre atmosphere. In their hands were, of course, wedding gifts for the two of us. The sight pierced my heart even deeper. Noah's mother, Ruby, gently held my hand and whispered, "I don't know what's happening, but we're on your side." I had to fight back tears at her warmth. They knew how starved I was for the affection of a real family, and they had always treated me like a true daughter. Even these precious people had been dragged into this malicious farce. My company's new drug had entered the final stage of clinical trials, and for the past few months, I had barely had a moment to breathe while negotiating with shareholders and regulatory authorities. "I'll handle all the wedding preparations. You as CEO should focus on the company." 3 months ago, Grace had offered those words, and I had been genuinely grateful. She worked as a wedding planner at the very venue we were supposed to be married in, so I decided to trust her completely. Of course, that didn't mean I abandoned everything to her. I had tried to check on the progress many times, but she had been incredibly cunning. When I asked to see the invitation design drafts, she brushed me off, saying, "Don't worry, I've already ordered a classic design you'll love. I want it to be a surprise, so just wait until the real thing arrives." In the end, not a single invitation was sent to anyone on my list of friends. I found out later that she had contacted a few of my closest friends and lied to them, saying, "Audrey's wedding has been changed to a private family-only event." When I asked about the menu tasting schedule, she laughed and replied, "I talked to the chef and put together the best seafood-based course I know you'll love. If you try it now, it'll ruin the excitement of the actual day." "Even for the wedding dress fitting," she said, "I know your measurements perfectly, so there's no need for alterations." And lied that she had completed the final fitting while I was abroad on a business trip. I believed all of it was an expression of a mother's love, a desire to make her daughter happy. I thought she was being considerate of how busy I was. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that, behind the scenes, she was dismantling my wedding itself and building a stage for my sister. It was true that my relationship with her had always been complicated. Every time I achieved something, she would give me a look that was part lonely, part discontent. But this was my wedding. I thought she surely wouldn't tarnish such a special day out of malice. How foolish I was. "Audrey, hurry up and come here. My ring is so beautiful, isn't it?" Hazel called out to me with a carefree voice. There wasn't even a hint of guilt in her eyes. She had always been this way. She believed that anything she wanted could be hers as long as she cried to our mother. My toys, my clothes, my time, even my parents' love, she had taken them all without hesitation. She behaved as if it were her natural right to take from me. And now she was trying to take my wedding. I gripped my smartphone tightly. On the screen was the direct number of the general manager of the venue. He had given it to me personally when my company invited him as a VIP to a major investor conference we hosted. I remembered his words. "Miss Bennett, your company is one of our most important clients. If you ever need anything, day or night, please don't hesitate to call." Neither Grace nor Hazel knew the truth about me. They didn't know that I wasn't just some well-paying daughter who used to be a researcher. They had no idea about the true power of the credibility I had built and the negotiation skills I had honed in the business world. "Are you even listening, Audrey? I said come here now." Grace's irritated voice cut through the room. I slowly turned to face them. Then, in a voice so quiet that only Noah could hear, I whispered, "Do you trust me?" Noah met my gaze directly and nodded firmly. "Yes, what you do is always right. I'm on your side until the very end." His words gave me the push I needed. I took a deep breath and pressed the call button on my smartphone. The call connected after just 2 rings. "Miss Bennett, congratulations on your wedding. I hope this will be the most wonderful start to your—" "Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Unfortunately, the celebration has been canceled." My voice was astonishingly flat, devoid of any emotion. For a brief moment, a thought flashed through my mind. Are you really going to go through with this? But the image of Grace's mocking face and Hazel's triumphant eyes burned that hesitation to ashes. They mistook my kindness for weakness. Then I would have to show them my true strength. "Audrey, who are you talking to? Stop embarrassing yourself and hang up the phone right now." Grace's hysterical voice rang out, but Noah quietly stepped in front of me, shielding me. "Grace, please be quiet. Can't you see Audrey is in the middle of something important?" His resolute tone left Grace momentarily speechless. "Excuse me, but what did you just say?" On the other end of the line, I could tell that Mr. Harrington, the general manager of this luxury venue, had momentarily let his professional mask slip. "Did you not hear me? As of this moment, I want every single service being provided at this venue to be stopped. The catering, the drinks, the band, and every floral decoration in the hall. Stop everything. Immediately." "Miss Bennett, but according to the contract, the guests are all ready." "I am the signatory on that contract. The payments are being made with a credit card linked to my private bank account. I will pay every last cent of the cancellation fees, exactly as stated in the contract. So I want everything cleared out now. If this isn't done within 5 minutes, I will consider this a clear breach of contract, and my legal team will contact you immediately. And let me add, my company will never use your hotel chain again. Do I make myself clear? In business negotiations, I never let emotions take over. I make sure the other party understands only 2 things: the facts and the fact that I have the power to act on them. That cold precision is what built my company into what it is today. Understood. We will make the arrangements immediately. There was no hesitation left in Mr. Harrington's voice. He understood better than anyone who I was in the weight my words carried. Oh, look at her. She's still doing something. How pathetic. Just give up already, Audrey. You look ridiculous. I heard Grace and Hazel's mocking voices. To them, this was nothing more than their older sister throwing a childish tantrum. And then it happened. The cheerful live jazz music filling the room suddenly cut off, as if sliced apart by a knife. Guests chatting with champagne glasses in hand turned to each other in confusion. The sudden silence took over the entire space. What's going on? Did the power go out? As murmurs spread, a team of staff dressed in black quietly but efficiently entered through the hall's main doors. They moved through the guests with practiced coordination, clearing the lavish dishes and champagne glasses from the tables one after another. At the open bar, bartenders silently began returning bottles to the shelves, and even the lavender floral decorations on the walls were swiftly taken down by staff with stepladders. "Hey, what do you think you're doing? I haven't even eaten yet," Hazel shrieked, but the staff didn't even glance at her. They just kept working in silence. Grace, her face flushed red with fury, grabbed one of the staff members by the arm. "Who gave you permission to do this? I'm the one in charge here." The staff member looked startled but answered politely, "I'm terribly sorry, ma'am, but these are direct and absolute orders from Mr. Harrington." What? Grace's face was drained of color. For years, she was convinced she ruled over everything within these walls. And now, she was finally realizing that her commands no longer carried any weight. I ended the call quietly and walked slowly toward them. What? What did you do? Grace's voice trembled as she asked. For the first time, I gave her a genuine smile, one that came from the very bottom of my heart. As you've said, Mom, I'm not the star today, so I just canceled this ridiculous party that was supposed to be paid for with my card. My words echoed coldly through the now silent hall. Grace stood frozen as if struck by lightning, while Hazel stared at me and at the rapidly emptying tables in disbelief. Liar! That's impossible. This is my party. Hazel finally screamed, her voice sharp and panicked. She clung desperately to Ethan's arm. Ethan, say something. My sister's gone crazy. But Ethan's expression remained tense. His gaze shifted between my wedding dress, Noah's tuxedo, and the unsettling atmosphere of the room. I could see the terrifying puzzle pieces snapping into place in his mind. He was a mid-level real estate developer, a man who always approached things logically. He had been drawn to Hazel's innocent charm, yes, but he had also seen the presence of her accomplished sister, the CEO, as a potential asset for his business. And then the smile that once looked so sweet on Hazel's face must have seemed like nothing more than a greedy mask. The ring he had given her, the promises of their shared future, all of it was being built on her sister's tears. Hazel, your mother told me this was our engagement party, but your sister is clearly wearing a wedding dress and her fiancé is in a tuxedo. And now all the services at this venue were shut down with just one phone call from her. Can you explain this to me? His voice was calm, but underneath it swirled doubt and disappointment. Hazel's face twisted as she struggled to respond. What are you talking about, Ethan? This is a surprise party, Mom said. Even if it's a surprise, who paid for it? Ethan's voice grew sharper. Your mother? You? Don't tell me. You hijacked your sister's wedding and are celebrating with her money? Grace jumped in, her face red with anger as her daughter floundered. How dare you say such a thing, Ethan? We're family. Of course Audrey would want to celebrate her sister's happiness. That's not true. Noah, who had been quietly supporting me until now, finally raised his voice. He stepped forward, standing firmly between me and them, and looked Grace and Hazel straight in the eyes. Family means wishing for each other's happiness and respecting each other. People who trample on someone's most precious day for their own selfish desires are not family. You betrayed not only Audrey's trust, but also the goodwill of my parents, who came all the way here to celebrate. You should be ashamed of yourselves. He then walked calmly over to his parents. Mom, Dad, this must be upsetting. Could you wait in the lounge for a bit? He gently led them away from the chaos, then gave me a reassuring look that said, I've got you. Noah's words stirred the guests who had been quietly watching from the corners of the hall. Whispers began to spread. So it was Audrey's wedding after all. How awful. For her own mother and sister to do something like this. A woman clutching a designer bag whispered to her friend beside her. Considering Hazel's personality, I'm not surprised. She's always had a habit of wanting what belongs to others. But to think she'd even steal a wedding. Even a few of Hazel's own friends were now looking at her with open contempt. Some awkwardly pulled out their phones, while others had their eyes gleaming with excitement. as if they were witnessing the juiciest gossip of the year. A few even raised their smartphones and began filming the entire scandal unfolding before them. Grace, unable to form any rational rebuttal anymore, redirected her fury toward the staff. "Get Mr. Harrington here right now. I've worked here for 20 years. I won't stand for this kind of humiliation." But no matter how much she screamed, the general manager never appeared. Everyone in the hall understood that her authority in this place had completely vanished. I watched my family crumble with icy detachment as I quietly scrolled to the next number. It belonged to the most prestigious haute couture dress shop in the city, the very shop from which Hazel's lavish lavender party dress had been custom ordered. The payment, of course, had been made with my black card, but I still had one last trump card to play. "Hello, Madame Lorraine." "Yes, it's me, Audrey Collins. Thank you. But there's been a slight change of plans today. There's a woman standing right in front of me wearing one of your dresses." "Yes, the extravagant lavender one. I urgently need to inform you that this dress has become the centerpiece of a rather disgraceful scandal. I made sure to speak clearly and theatrically enough for both Grace and Hazel to hear every word." Hazel's face was instantly drained of color. "Yes, that's right. For the sake of your brand's reputation, would you please come and retrieve the dress?" "Retrieve the dress? Do you even realize what you're saying?" Grace stormed toward me, her face twisted into a mask of rage. But in her eyes, there was no longer contempt for me, only pure fear. She had finally understood that I was entirely serious about destroying this farce down to its bones. On the other end of the line, Madame Lorraine's voice remained calm as she asked, "Miss Collins, retrieving a worn dress is unprecedented. What exactly happened?" "Madame, let me explain. I ordered the dress in good faith for my sister to wear at my wedding. However, that wedding was hijacked through fraudulent actions by my mother and sister. Therefore, the dress is currently being worn for a completely illegitimate purpose. Don't you think this is a matter that concerns the reputation and integrity of your brand?" After a brief silence, Madame Lorraine's tone shifted noticeably. "I understand. For the honor of our brand, we cannot overlook this. I'll send my staff over immediately." And within just 10 minutes of my call, 2 women dressed in sleek black suits appeared quietly at the entrance of the hall. Silver logos gleamed on their chests, the unmistakable emblem of Madame Lorraine's dress shop. Their presence was so impeccably professional that it seemed almost out of place amid the crumbling chaos of the event, drawing the attention of the few remaining guests. One of the women walked straight toward Hazel. In her hands rested a neatly folded cashmere robe of the highest quality. "Miss Hazel, correct? We're here on behalf of Madame Lorraine regarding the dress you're currently wearing." Her polite, emotionless tone only heightened the sense of dread in the air. "What do you think you're doing? Go away. This is mine." Hazel panicked, clutching the lavender dress at her chest and stumbling backwards. "Ethan, help me. These people are crazy." But Ethan no longer let her hold onto his arm. He simply looked at me, at the staff, and at Hazel, with eyes that were cold and resolved. His mind was already made up. I took a quiet breath and spoke, slipping on the mask of the cold, calculating CEO. "Let me explain. The dress is no longer the shop's property, but Madame Lorraine will not allow her brand to be exploited in a disgraceful farce like this." I stated the facts plainly, without a shred of emotion. Those facts cut deeper than any insult could. "Stop this. How dare you humiliate us in front of everyone? Have you no shame?" Grace tried to step between me and the staff, but the second woman calmly moved forward, blocking her path. "Ma'am, Our dresses are designed to be worn in appropriate settings and for legitimate purposes. Being involved in a scandal of this nature severely damages our brand's value. To protect the brand's reputation, Madame Lorraine has instructed us to retrieve the dress immediately. If we cannot secure your cooperation, we will be forced to consider legal action for brand defamation. The moment the words legal action were uttered, Grace's face froze in fear. She knew exactly what it would mean to cause a legal incident in the very venue where she had worked for decades. Then it happened. Ethan, who had remained silent until now, let out a deep, weary sigh filled with disappointment. He stepped in front of Hazel and gently reached for the large diamond ring she had flaunted so proudly. Ethan? Hazel, was I really a man worth stealing your sister's wedding for? His voice was heavy with sorrow. You didn't just ruin your sister's happiest day. You stained our relationship with money and lies. I fell for your brightness. But I didn't realize that brightness was built on someone else's suffering. This isn't the woman I loved. With that, he gently slipped the engagement ring off Hazel's finger. The moment the ring was taken off, Hazel collapsed to the floor as if her soul had left her body. No! Her wailing echoed hollowly through the grand hall, now stripped of its lavish decorations and emptied of food, the sound bouncing off the bare walls. The staff from Madame Lorraine's boutique gently draped the cashmere robe over her shoulders and quietly led her to a private room. The party was over. No, I had ended it. Almost everyone had left the hall. Noah's parents stood by my side, their presence steady and warm. Audrey, that must have been incredibly difficult, but your decision was the right one. We're proud of you. Hearing the kind words from the woman who was supposed to become my mother-in-law loosened the tears I'd been holding back. Hazel eventually emerged from the private room, wearing the simple robe provided by the dress shop. In her hands, she clutched the lavender dress limply, as if it were nothing more than an empty shell. Her face was streaked with tears, all traces of her former sparkle gone. Beside her, Grace stood like a hollow shell, her expression drained of anger, hatred, or even pride. Only a deep, bottomless despair remained. She had lost all the authority and trust she had built over decades in the place she once considered her domain. Ethan approached Noah and me quietly. He then apologized sincerely. Audrey, Noah, I am truly sorry. I was complicit in their lies, whether I intended to be or not. I ruined what should have been the most important day of your lives. This ring, I don't need it anymore. If you'd like, please use it towards your future together. He placed the engagement ring gently on the table, then left the hall alone without looking back and without anyone to see him off. Grace and Hazel remained standing amid the wreckage of their crumbled scheme, lost and broken. I had nothing more to say to them. Words were no longer necessary. I took Noah's hand firmly, and together with his parents, we quietly walked out of the hall. Just before the doors closed, I turned back one last time. What I saw were no longer the mother and sister I had once known. They were just two pitiful women, standing dazed in the ruins of the castle of lies they had built with their own greed. A few days later, I received a formal email from Mr. Harrington informing me that Grace had been dismissed from her position on the same day of the incident. 6 months have passed since that nightmarish day. Today, Noah and I are finally having our wedding. The only people we invited were a few dozen dear friends who truly wished us happiness, and Noah's family. Noah took my hand and began his vows. Audrey, I vow that when storms try to break you, I will be your shield. When you walk the path of truth, I will be your most loyal companion. I will love your tears and your smiles and everything about you for the rest of my life. I looked into his eyes and replied, Noah, I vow to cherish and honor your kindness and your strength for as long as I live. With these hands, I will build our future together. Warm applause filled the chapel. On my ring finger, the simple and elegant band Noah gave me shone beautifully. Since that day, I haven't received any direct contact from Grace or Hazel. The videos of their disgrace spread rapidly across social media. Hazel lost not only her fiancé, but also the support of her friends. She was effectively cast out of the city's social circles. Grace, I've heard, is still unable to face what she did. Freed from the chains of a false family, I've found my true happiness. As I gazed out the chapel window at the calm sea, I realized something. There was no hatred left in me. Perhaps someday, if they truly confront their mistakes and learn to stand on their own, we might speak again. Not as rivals, but simply as sisters. Until that day comes, I will walk my own path. Today, my life truly begins.